Hello and welcome to the Be Your Own podcast. I'm your host, Fabiana Dorea, and founder of Be Your Own, the global media hub of all things entrepreneurship and career navigation. As you know, this podcast is all about highlighting incredible women out there doing awesome things. I'm joined today by self-love expert and Be Your Own member, Fabiana Dorea, to talk about self-love, self-acceptance and compassion. Having gone through her own radical transformation and leaving her old life behind, as well as her ex-fiance, to embark on a new journey of self-discovery, Fabiana truly believes that we can only give to someone else what we give to ourselves. And if it's love that we wish for, we must love ourselves first. Just before this beautiful conversation takes place, I just want to mention that Fabiana's new workshop, Marry Yourself First, has now gone online, and she's currently doing both one-to-one and group coaching sessions, along with hosting a 1-month group workshop. I know Fabiana's work is absolutely amazing, but in a time like this, I'm sure you're probably sat thinking, where can I invest my money that's going to help me benefit both personally and professionally the most? So I hugely recommend you sit tight, listen to the podcast, then any questions that you want answering, just head over to Instagram where you can find out more information directly from Fabiana yourself. But now, onto the podcast. So I'm sat with Fabiana and I almost forget to hit the record button. So let's dive straight in and talk about change.
Yes. And it's like looking at a rainbow. It's like a monochromatic rainbow. It wouldn't be as beautiful as having all the colors.
Yeah.
And I've been there. The more light you shed into your shadows, the more you're able to see, right? So it's painful. 2015 was a very painful year for me when I started to shed light on my shadows, and all that started to come to consciousness. And I looked at it. I was raised to be the perfect child, right? The prominent student, the prominent wife, the prominent lawyer. I was perfect. Whatever that means, because perfection is just an illusion. But this is how I was raised to be, to please people. I couldn't say no, because saying no meant that I was probably letting someone else down. And then I wouldn't be loved on that eyes of that person. So when I start to really look at that and see how much of myself I was giving away to be there for someone else. But that when you are, it's beautiful to give. And this is my mantra in life. I'm here to serve. But it's only beautiful to give when it's not detrimental to you. And there was a research that was very intriguing, actually. There was a research made with all the biggest spiritual teachers and healers of the world. And they all shared one thing in common. And that one thing in common was they knew how to set healthy boundaries. And that hit me like a stroke of lightning, because that was me there. I wanted to give everything away because I felt so blessed. I was doing everything for the other and not doing enough, not finding my space. And takers would keep on taking because I'm a giver. I'm a natural giver. And I would end up feeling depleted, exhausted, lacking in energy. And so when I read this research, I'm like, this is what it's missing. I'm missing putting healthy boundaries. And people understand when you put healthy boundaries. I was scared of not being accepted because I was always nice and I was doing everything for everyone. But when I said, hey, listen, you know what? If I do that, it will take away from this, which is so precious to me. Can we do this other way? People started to respect, and I started to build my energy up. And actually, I'm able to serve people so much better now.
Yeah.
But for that, I had to look into myself, and I had to give myself that love that I was looking outside of myself for someone else to give it to me.
To have change or to embark upon change, I always think it's because you're bored of the last change. Life should be about a process of evolution, and if you're not evolving as a human, and there's no personal development and there's no need to change, it's like you stay stagnant.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of bread that goes stale. Why would you just want to be stale and not move forward and learn more and be a better person? Being comfortable with the decisions that you make. A lot of people find discomfort in saying no. When you're a kind, nice person, it doesn't mean that you have to say yes to everything all the time. You can still be a kind, nice person just by being you. It's not always about the gestures or the fact of doing everything for everyone all the time. You should have power in saying no and really stand by it and not feel guilty. If you're always operating on a half full cup, not on the overspill for everybody else, then you're kind of, I always class it as you're doing a disservice for yourself. You're running on empty for everybody else.
To the other person as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because, how can you give your best self to someone else when you're just crying out for extra fuel?
And I love what you said there, because if you look at it, like, I love observing nature. I learned so much from observing nature. It never rushes anything, and yet it's so perfect. You know, flowers, they have the right time to blossom, and they have the right time to go inwards in their root. And it is exactly like us. If flowers doesn't blossom a whole year round, we cannot expect that from ourselves. So sometimes we got to set boundaries and say, you know what, now I need to look a little bit to what emotion is trying to tell me right now. I'm not feeling that great, so I can't be there for you. And whatever in nature that is not growing, it's dying.
Yeah.
So everything is constantly changing. And from moment to moment, everything is constantly changing. And we are part of nature. So if we stay stuck, in my perception is, if we stay stuck somewhere we don't belong, it's like dying whilst you're living, you know. It's losing your creativity. It's lose your power to change, your power to adjust, your power to adapt. And again, that's the beauty of diversity, because every situation brings you something new. If you're just open to it, if you're open to embrace, if you're open to learn from it. And then it comes the concept that I don't believe in failure. I don't believe in such thing as failure.
No.
People, they ask me, Fabiana, you're going to leave your career of a corporate lawyer that you've been for 15 years plus, and you're going to embark on this adventure starting from scratch, and you have no fear? I'm like, yes, I have fear, but courage is having fear and going with it. It's not an absence of fear. And so for me, failure doesn't exist, because I see every situation as a teacher. Like I see my emotions. So what is it there to teach me? What can I do better? What didn't do this time? So if you look at everything as informative, as it's there to tell you something, there's no such thing as the concept of failure. It's just a teacher. You grow through what you go through.
Yeah.
So to my point, yes, changing, guys, it's inevitable. If you want to live, in my opinion, a fulfilled, diverse, and colorful life, changing is necessary.
We only get one life. I mean, that's definitely my belief. You know, whether people believe in reincarnation where you come back as something else, that's different. But we only have one life on this planet. You have to make the most of it and get out of life and squeeze every opportunity that you can. So if you're living why would you want to live almost as if you're dead? You're just existing. Life is not about existing. Life is really about living and making choices and making conscious decisions every day. Life is choices.
And that's the he was my fiance. I didn't marry him because at that point I had to make a decision between marrying myself or marrying him. It's like choosing the love of a man or choosing self-love. And I decided to marry myself first. Hence the name of the workshop. But I totally agree with you. And why deciding is so hard. People are scared to make decisions. One, because when you choose one thing, you leave 99% behind. And people are usually overthinking and questioning and having fear of if they made the right decision or not. And second, because the moment you make a decision, you think you have to be stuck with it. And that's why people are so indecisive. But if you take the judgment out of it as well, and the power that you give to that decision, and again, come to the idea that we were discussing before of everything is constantly changing, and so are you. If you chose something right now, you are more than allowed to choose differently the next day. We are simply not the same. I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer my whole life since I was in 4th grade. I want to voice the oppressed. I wanted to change the world. And I went with my decision, and having decided that and having lived that decision through, I decided that wasn't for me anymore. That wasn't speaking to my soul. That was not my purpose in life. That my purpose in life was to impact people and spread the word of love and spread the word of acceptance and compassion. And so I decided differently. You are allowed not to get stuck in one whole decision for your life. And that's what people need to understand. In every single areas of our life, you can decide to get married and then you can decide to divorce. You can decide to be single for your whole life. You can decide to have kids and not to have kids. Whatever decision is best for you, not because society or your family or religion or whatever it is told you so, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own happiness. And so your decisions need to be congruent with your purpose and your soul and what warms and brings joy to your life and to your heart. And that's why we have so many frustrated people, because people are becoming a product of people's expectations. They're not deciding from themselves. Because also deciding for yourself means you're responsible for that decision. And that is called self-responsibility. I decided that with every decision comes a consequence. So if I made a decision, I have to deal with the consequences of that decision. But that's part of growing up as a human being. That's part of self-development. That's part of taking responsibility for your own life. That's part of taking responsibility for your own habits.
Nothing is permanent. Things are only temporary. That's how it's designed to be. It's designed in a temporary basis, and we can change them. We can fix them. We can make another decision tomorrow and run with it.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's one word that I use a lot, impermanent. Because once you actually understand at an experiential level, and not because I'm telling you, not because you read from a guru or in a textbook, but once you experience the impermanence of everything in life on an experiential level, you learn how to detach yourself. And you learn that you can choose differently at any given moment, at any given time. And that's free will. But also choosing not to do anything, like you just said, or choosing to be a victim in every situation and blame A, X, or Z, whether that may be religion or your husband or your parents. It's also a decision. It's a decision of not owning up to your life and not knowing your true potential and not having the courage to walk that walk and have the responsibility for the path that you chose. So yes, it's a lot easier to blame someone else, but it's also a lot more, it's also very painful. Because at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to sound morbid here, but we die alone and we are born alone into this world. And the only person we can ever divorce in this world is ourselves. Because we can lose people along the way, friends, family, we lose people along the way. That's the natural cycle of life. But until we live and exist in this world, we have to learn how to live with ourselves. And often, coaches come to me with a very deep pain, of a pain that wasn't caused by them. Maybe a difficult divorce or a difficult loss. And it's painful. I am empathetic to that. I understand pain. I felt so much pain in my life. And I understand that the pain that we suffer may sometimes not be caused by us. It may be caused by someone else or a situation. But our healing is entirely our responsibility. We cannot live our life reliving that situation, reliving the pain that someone caused us, and blaming that person for causing us that pain, because that's permanently living in the past. And when we live in the past, we let the past dictate our future. And we're going to bring more pain into our life. At some point, we need to draw the line and say, enough. I know that I've suffered. I've looked into my pain. I felt my pain. It's important to feel it. It's really important to feel whatever that emotion is there to tell you, because whatever you can't be with won't let you be. So if you suppress your pain, rest assured it's going to come back to you at another moment. But also at some point in our life, we got to look at the pain and say, you know what? I felt my pain. It's time for me to start my healing. And I know my pain wasn't caused by myself, but I'm responsible for my healing. And you have to take out that victim situation and start to be the author of your own life. Otherwise, someone else is going to write here, in your book called life.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be your story. It's going to be someone else's story that they're writing for you.
Who inspires you then? Because you're such a powerful, thought-provoking leader on your own, in your own space.
There's two beautiful things you said there, and I'm going to answer your question. But before I answer that question, it's funny you said about relationships, because I have a lot of coaches that come to me with relationship issues. And it again goes back to self-love, because the way you treat yourself and the way you relate to yourself dictates every relationship you have. So the way you treat yourself dictates the relationship with your husband, the relationship with your work colleagues, the relationship with your family. And not only that, when you're able to love yourself whole, and you're able to sit in an empty space and yet feel its fullness with your presence, you just don't accept any other presence. Because when you love yourself, and that relates to every area of your life, when you really love yourself, you treat your body right. So you want to nurture your body right. You want to give the right food. You want to get the right levels of energy. You feed your brain with information that is going to support your beliefs, and that's going to be good for you. So you're going to read news that actually make you happy, and you're going to surround yourself with people that actually makes you happy. And actually, you're not going to allow yourself to be treated badly. Because when you treat yourself with love, and you give yourself the best out there, if the other person is not doing the same, you're not going to tolerate that. And yes, toxic relationships is so hard to get out of it. I actually ended here in Brazil in a therapist's room after 4 years of an abusive, toxic relationship. It's very hard to get in. But that, I think, was my switch the moment I switched, when I went to the therapist room thinking I needed fixing, and I was actually not able to love myself, and I was looking for someone else to give that love that I wasn't giving myself. And that's why I tolerated so much for 4 years. And when I started to love myself, I said, you know what? Enough of that. And there's this concept of my other half, which I absolutely dislike. Because you're not half human being looking for another half human being. That's crazy. You are a whole human being, hopefully looking for another whole human being to complement you and walk alongside by you in your journey, and you walk together on your journey. And that was my turning point. Once I started to love myself and walk the walk, really practice self-love on a daily basis, radical self-love, my relationships started to get so much harmonic, because whatever I was lacking in myself, I didn't look for that other person to give it to me. I looked within and said, Fabiana, what is it that you're not giving yourself? Go give yourself, girl. And that takes a lot of the pressure out of relationships, right? Because people often say, oh, you're not doing this for me, or you're not showing me enough love, or you promised this, or you promised that. So it gets heavy because there's a lot of a give and take. But when you're able to sit with yourself and enjoy your company and feel happy with your presence and go on a date with yourself, you take that pressure off the other person, and it just becomes a lighter relationship. It becomes very joyful, actually. So I think the first step to get out of toxic relationships, which is very hard, and I've been there myself, is start to love yourself. Because that's why you accept being, obviously, it could be other reasons behind it. We're just like touching the tip of the iceberg here. But one of the reasons of being in a detrimental relationship is the fear of being alone, is the fear of not being good enough, is the fear of not finding someone that has a funny way of showing you. Because if you love someone, you want to treat that person well. And a lot of people, they use the excuse of, oh, he does that, but he loves me. No, I'm sorry, he doesn't love you. Because if you love someone, you want to see that person strive, you want to see that person flourish, and you're going to support that person on that process. You're not going to do the opposite and turn that person down. So baby steps, but it all starts within. Every journey starts within. And there's a Chinese proverb that I love that says, before trying to change the world, go around your house 3 times, which means before you try to change someone else, look within, look into yourself and see it's in your power to change. And if you're in a toxic relationship, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to change that person to treat you in another way if he's been treating you 4 years like that. You have to change the way you look at that situation and take yourself out of it. And that's what happened with me. When I looked at I was just trying to give excuses. I just removed myself out of that situation and I worked on myself. And now my relationship with the world, with my parents, with my loved one, it's actually so much lighter.
But
I mean, there's people that I absolutely love. Sometimes when they ask me, Fabiana, if you could bring back, 3 people to have a supper with you, who would you bring? And I have Gandhi as one of them. Muhammad Ali, for he's such a beautiful public speaker, and Irmã Dulce, which was a nun that we had here in Brazil, and she was just amazing. But on a daily basis, these are the people that I get the words and the volition, just their volition, their intention is just for me so inspirational. what was behind their actions, their humanity, and I'm inspired by them every day. But on a daily basis, people that surround me inspire me, and these people, they haven't done like a great deal of thing. I mean, they haven't found the cure of cancer, but they are the heroes and the heroines of their own life. And one of them is my mother. She got her psychologist diploma when she was 62 years old. So she went back to a 5-year university at 62 with all her fears of not, being able to stick to classes, and everyone was young and everyone has a fast-paced thinking, and she had difficulties with technology and everything, but she got her diploma, and I'm very proud of her. So she's an inspiration. And I get inspired by women that I come across daily. There's a friend of mine that had 2 kids, and one was really premature. And she's just an incredible woman. The way she deals with things, the way she deals with difficult situations in life, is just such a kind, loving eyes to herself and to others. That just inspires me so much. But so this inspiration that just come to me, and there are people that surround me. And that's one thing I say to people around me as well. Like, if that person inspires you, if she speaks your language, stick to it, because there's so many things out there, and sometimes people confuse inspiration with competition. And these are 2 different things. So all I ask is, like, be aware of how that person makes you feel. Like, if you're looking at someone and that person is making you feel like you're not good enough, that you're not doing enough, you're going to look at that person as your competition. But if you look at that person and feel that you have so much energy after it and that you want to go for it, that's probably an inspiration. So stick to that. Really stick to that. But I would say the common people, ordinary, extraordinarily women, are my inspiration. And funny enough, today I made an article on Instagram that said, life is just like a Tetris game. As soon as you fit in, you disappear. And my pledge was for people to embrace their uniqueness and their weirdness, or you name it, your difference, because that's what's beautiful. That's diversity. And I feel so many people trying to fit in on spaces that they actually don't belong, and they have a unique gift to share to the world that no one else has. I mean, I could be talking about self-love, and someone else could be talking about self-love, but her take on self-love will be completely different from mine. Because I had experiences that shaped my worldview that no one else will have. And so what I can bring into the world and the way I put it out there, it's going to be totally different, even though we're talking about the same subjects. So to embrace your uniqueness and to embrace your gift, to be your authentic self, it's actually the best gift you can give to yourself and to us. Because what you can give, no one else can.
No. What are you working on at the moment? What's new for you? What have you got coming up? What can we expect from you?
So I'm still, my life hasn't changed much, to be honest. So at the moment, I'm doing both my careers. I'm growing up my coaching program. Because I was doing presentially my workshops in London, Marry Yourself First, in Being Human, Strengthening the Relationship with the Self, was a presential workshop. Now I have to go online. So I have to rejig a lot of stuff. But also, my Instagram is bilingual. And now that I'm in Brazil, I started to have a lot of requests for ebooks and for courses online. So I'm working to develop now the courses in Portuguese as well.
Wow.
So I'm sharing my time between, Portuguese and English. So I have a live on my Instagram every Monday about women empowering other women, which I bring inspirational women whose stories are worth sharing. And I have some that I met on Be Your Own, like Renee Bird, and I had Carrie.
Oh, yeah.
So they're so inspiration that I met through you. So that was amazing.
Oh, I'm glad.
And on Wednesdays, I do the Marry Yourself First, but in a Portuguese version.
Nice.
So that's on the side. I'm developing all the products whilst I'm still working on corporate law as a contractor to pay for all the courses that I'm also taking. I've been taking archetypal psychology for 2 years now, and I have this weekend another module, and it's beautiful. I love it. Also getting deeper into shadow work and on lucid dreaming. Ooh. So my days are full, and I'm doing coaching 101. So I'm still with my clients doing online coaching, and I started doing group coaching as well for people that can't afford a one-on-one session, or that likes the group dynamic, doesn't have something very personal that requires the one-on-one in a more, safer space. So some people prefer the group dynamic, and it's financially better for them as well. So I'm open that. So there's a lot going on.
That is a lot. How do you manage to balance your work-life balance? How do you figure out time to do everything?
Oh my God, tell me about it. That's one of the things that I had to work my mind a lot when I decided, because people say, Fabiana, why you have to choose two? Why don't you choose just one, stick to it? It's so much easier to do one content only. And I'm like, guys, you're making me choose between two homes. You're making me choose between my homeland and a home that fostered me and been fostering me for 11 years. And who's more worthy of doing this job? I honestly don't know, because we're all worthy of being listened to, and we all have a story to share, whether you're Brazilian, Jamaican, or English. So I had to work my mind and say something will have to suffer, and then that's going to be my social life. It's going to have to give in. So it's hard to find a balance. And sometimes when I'm getting anxious with the amount of stuff I have to do, I sit down and I've lengthened my meditation practice. I'm doing yoga on a daily basis now, just to ground and take day by day. What can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? Because otherwise you go crazy. But social skills, I have to stay a little bit out of it. So, friend phone calls, or, well, we can't go out anyway in Brazil now, everything is closed. But I'm holding back on phone calls, on returning messages. So I'm getting a little bit deeper in silence within, and not responding a lot to the external noise as well. So I'm grounding myself a little bit more. Yeah. But it's hard. It's not easy to balance. You have to be organized, because in the midst of all that, I still need to put my workout in.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big fan of working out. So, and that's my brand, right? It's holistic with a W of be whole. It's the integration of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So I cannot do the talk and not walk the walk. Whatever I say is because I do it on myself. So 1 hour, 1 hour and a half daily of fitness needs to be in. So it's a matter of getting organized and getting all that done. I've been good at it so far.
Wow, you really have so much going on. How are you staying focused?
You have to have focus, especially now where we are shoved with information right, left, and center. With it's visual stimulus, it's sound stimulus. We're so stimulated externally that if we pay attention to every stimulus we have, we lose focus, and we tend not to do the important stuff because we're too busy answering X, Y, and Z which is not important. And when we lose focus, we're all over the place. So for me, meditation is like you said, visualization is a way for you. Meditation is a way for me to silence the inner and the outer turmoil and to focus on what it helps. But then again, I've always been very disciplined with exercise routine and with routine in general. And I'm aware that a lot of people that does not have a routine can find it very difficult. So sometimes when I start with my coaches that are lacking focus or that they are not able to get things done as they wish, I start with the body. Because when you set a routine for your body and you create movement for your body and you move the energy that is stagnant around your body, it's physical, it's palpable. You can track that. So people often, I find it that people need that level of physicality, of being able to touch, track, and actually see the changes, to then go to the other level, to the cognitive level and to a spiritual level, if I might say. But sometimes it's easier to start with the body, with the physical. So my tip for someone that is not being able to focus, it's one, what you just said, like turn off your notifications. You don't have to shove your mind with every single piece of information that comes in. And second, create an exercise routine, whatever, that may be. If it's dancing, if it's jogging, if it's doing yoga, if it's for 30 minutes, if for 45, but stick to it. Create that routine, stick to it. And you will see that once you see that you go through with that routine, everything comes easier, because there's this acknowledgement of I've been managing to stick to that routine. And then you go bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how focus comes. Because when you're doing that exercise, you're just doing that exercise, you're doing that routine, and you're focused on getting that done. So start small, but start. At some point we have to start.
It's all about making those decisions, isn't it? Just make a decision and just start. A lot of people find that difficulty in the first day, don't they? And then the same point, actually, some people find the difficulty in maintaining that. Where can we find more about your work, about your coaching programs? How can we sign up? How can our listeners get involved in some of the group coaching sessions that you offer and anything else that you have going on?
Perfect. So right now I am also turning out the various social media just to focus in one. So I'm now just using my Instagram. I'm not using my Facebook page anymore. I got out of the website, and I'm just focusing on one media stream, which is Instagram. So you can either email me on my work email, my business email, that's on my Instagram, fabi@holisticcoaching.live, or send me a direct message. But my programs will basically be there. Just be aware it's a bilingual Instagram, but it's pretty easy to see the Brazilian flag and the UK flag for Portuguese and English. So I would say that the best way is either emailing me or sending me a direct contact through my Instagrams. Also, participating on my lives if you feel you don't have the money to invest right now, because I'm aware that a lot of us suffered a pay cut or even lost entirely our jobs. The lives are for free, and also the articles are for free, and I love sharing experience. I love, sharing stories. So just come and join.
Thank you again for sharing your message. It's been absolutely brilliant, and I hope you stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Me too. Thank you. I'm definitely going to hook up for coffee with or without the membership club.
Yeah.
I love our talk, and I learned so much from the ladies from the membership, from the Be Your Own, and from you as well. You're so young, and have so much power and so much energy. So definitely looking forward to going back and meeting up with you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for listening. Please let us know what you think of the show. Don't forget you can find us on both Instagram and Twitter at BEYOUROWN UK. Our email address is beyourown@beyourown.org, so make use of it and drop us an email with anything that you want to know. If you fancy reading pretty much all of the career navigation stuff we talk about here on the podcast, then head over to beyourown.org for exclusive content, interviews, tools and resources. And lastly, if you love the show, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast, either on Stitcher, iTunes or Spotify. And that's it from me. See you next time.